Ball State University. News for the campus community and all of Delaware County. This is NewsLink Indiana.
With only 22 days left until Hoosiers head to the polls, things on the campaign trail are starting to heat up. Good evening, I'm Cameron Riddle.
And I'm Miranda Gore. Tonight, Indiana U.S. Senate candidates Richard Murdoch and Joe Donnelly took their arguments off the airways and went face-to-face in a debate. Republican Richard Murdoch, Democrat Joe Donnelly, and Libertarian Andrew Horning squared off in the WFYI studios in Indianapolis. They took questions from the audience and also participated in a Lincoln Douglas-style debate on important issues. Murdoch and Donnelly split the time between voicing their platforms and attacking their opponents.
One of the things we have to do is continue to work on jobs. It's the most critical thing of all to make sure everything goes right for our Hoosier state. And I work with Senator Lugar to make sure we saved over 100,000 auto jobs. And you sent out a letter about Senator Lugar where you said he betrayed conservatives. And the word betrayed, you can disagree, but betrayed?
Well, it is always important that we work together. And, you know, I've been amazed in watching so many of the TV commercials. Congressman Donnelly would like to paint me as this person who can't work with others and is very harsh and cold. And I find that shocking. If that were true, I wouldn't see one of the most important things I've done as state treasurer is helping to set up a college savings plan that's increased by 10 times the number of people who are now saving for college. And I worked with Democrats to do that.
A little heated out there, folks. The candidates will square off again in the second and final debate October 23rd in New Albany.
Republican Senator John McCain will be in Indianapolis this week to campaign for Senate candidate Richard Murdoch. McCain is scheduled to attend a fundraising breakfast on Wednesday. He'll then take part in a roundtable discussion on the economy with business professionals. High-profile Republicans hope that the campaign events will help boost Murdoch in this tight race against Democrat Joe Donnelly.
2 victims were robbed at gunpoint early Sunday morning east of campus. This is the third armed robbery in 4 weeks, and students are a little bit concerned about their safety. Now, this armed robbery happened around 3:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. They're at the corner of the intersection Locust and Wayne Streets, and the 2 victims being involved were Ball State students. The suspects were described as black males in a black sedan. And even though there were weapons, they were not used on the victims. Now, the university says safety still remains their top priority, and they'll send out public safety notices when anything happens on Ball State or around campus.
As excise police continue to crack down on Ball State students, some left with good memories this homecoming weekend, while others gain legal charges. Nicole Griffin has the story.
19 people were arrested this weekend on 23 charges during homecoming weekend at Ball State. These charges included illegal possession of alcohol, illegal transportation of alcohol, and various traffic violations. Officers making arrests this weekend are part of the Intensified College Enforcement Program. These programs are taking place at IU, Indiana State, Notre Dame, and Purdue as well. The goal of the program is to change the overall behavior of college students.
I think it's a good idea because people, there's a certain limit to how much you should drink, and if you're just drinking at the game and you're of age, then you have nothing to worry about, and if you're underage, then you should know you shouldn't be drinking too much.
The number of arrests this past weekend at Ball State is far less than those at other campuses and bigger games. During the Ball State and IU game on September 14th, there were a record of 110 arrests made.
I felt like the energy for the crowd was a lot more intense than it had been in years past, but I didn't know if that was because we were finally starting to win a lot more games and people were excited about the team, or just because people were drinking so much.
Because your brain is still sober enough to know how drunk you are at lower levels. The brain knows that there's a problem.
In Muncie, Nicole Griffin, NewsLink, Indiana.
Officers feel that the intensified enforcement program has already begun changing behavior at college campuses across the state. They'll need to collect several years of data before they know how effective the program really is. Well, you know, we were out at homecoming this weekend. We got some rain during the game. I left because I thought it was going to continue to rain. The question is, where was Sam Abbott when I needed him?
Well, I don't know where Sam Abbott was then, but I know where he is now. Sam?
I'm right here, and I'm going to talk about the current conditions in Muncie. It is currently 46 degrees with a dew point of 45. Winds coming from the northwest at 5 miles per hour, and pressure is rising. If we take a look at our map, which is already up, you can see that clouds are pushing out of Indiana, and we should see a clear night tonight. So what's coming up next? Short warm-up, chance of rain, and our weekend forecast. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Sam. The Cardinals' big victory over Western Michigan gave Ball State students a reason to smile this weekend. And now that the events are over, the financial results of homecoming is making economists optimistic. NewsLink Indiana reporter Craig Collins has the story.
1, 2, let's go, Ball U! Before the annual Ball State homecoming game could be played, another yearly tradition had to occur, the homecoming parade. While it took the parade less than 90 minutes to travel from downtown Muncie to the Ball State campus, parade chairman for the Homecoming Steering Committee, Amanda Edwards, says that preparation for the event started in February.
For me, the beginning stages were just kind of making sure we had all the basic facilities. So we start at Muncie Central High School, so we had to make sure that we had those facilities basically blocked off for us far enough in advance. And then we kind of went to making sure the paperwork and street closings and all of that. And then at the beginning of this semester, that's when all of the entries for the parade and everything started to roll in.
Edwards says that the parade benefits the Muncie community as the event unites Ball State and the city of Muncie. Over the years, the Ball State Homecoming Parade has been a source of entertainment for Ball State students, alumni, as well as the city of Muncie. And along with that entertainment value, there's also some economic value to events like homecoming for the Muncie community. President and CEO of the Muncie Chamber of Commerce, Jay Julian, says that there are two factors in Ball State's economic effect on Muncie.
Certainly events like homecoming, family weekend, those sort of activities import money and wealth into the Muncie area. Some of the success and the direction that the Ball State football team is headed certainly brings more people. The attendance has been up. If attendance is climbing, then it stands to reason that more people are eating and drinking and driving, and that obviously influences the economy in a positive way.
Julian says that the Muncie economy is doing well, with Ball State significantly aiding in its development.
We're actually doing a little bit better than many in this part of Indiana, it's East Central Indiana area. Maybe because we have two really strong anchors. Obviously, Ball State University and IU Health Systems are good, strong economic anchors, and they've helped the Muncie economy along through this choppy economic time we're in now.
In Muncie, Craig Collins, NewsLink Indiana.
Edwards says that the winners from Saturday's parade will be announced later this week.
The post office has been profiting the past few months, but is it enough to stamp the USPS out of debt?
And Facebook is removing a service for users only in Europe. Find out exactly why after the break.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Welcome back. Let's get a look at your daily news headlines for tomorrow.
Kirsten Davenport's in the studio with more. Kirsten?
Thanks, Miranda and Cameron. Here are the previews of what's coming up tomorrow in the DN Tomorrow. The debate between senatorial candidates Murdoch and Donnelly took place tonight. A breakdown of the event will be featured in tomorrow's headlines of DN. Also, Consulate General of Israel to the Midwest will be at Ball State tomorrow at p.m. at Cardinal Halls A and B. And Bikers, a plan by downtown Muncie to install bike lanes, is now in the works. The planned lanes will start at Main and Walnut Street and end at Willing Avenue. All that and more coming up in tomorrow's edition of Ball State Daily News on newsstands across campus or online 24 hours a day at bsudailynews.com.
Thank you, Kirsten. Americans are finally releasing that tight grip on their wallets, and it's helping to send their retail sales higher. The Census Bureau reports sales were up 1.1% in September. Last month's car sales also reached their highest level in more than 4 years. The agency also says higher gas prices are driving retail sales up. Gas prices rose across the nation in September, leading Americans to spend 2.3% more at the pump.
You may be tired of all the political mailings stuffed in your mailbox, but the post office isn't. The increase in election mail and top postage rates paid by super PACs are keeping the post office out of bankruptcy, at least for now. Federal candidates, political parties, and special interest groups are mailing out more flyers and postcards than in previous years. The USPS estimates that the election mail and the holiday shipping season will carry them through at least for a while.
And Facebook won't be recognizing your face anymore, or at least not in Europe. As of today, Facebook will be turning off its facial recognition feature because of privacy concerns. Now, this comes after a review of the feature, which automatically suggests the names and people that it's tagging and uploading photos. Facebook says it plans on bringing back the feature once it complies with the European Union rules.
All right, it's what everybody's talking about. You may have heard of Felix Baumgartner, who jumped from more than 24 miles from the sky, fell more than for 4 minutes, and reached speeds of more than 100 miles per hour. Baumgartner is now being hailed as an aerospace pioneer. Reporter Brian Todd has the details from CNN's Washington Bureau.
With a heart-pounding hop into the stratosphere, Felix Baumgartner makes history. He jumps from 128,000 feet above the Earth, 24 miles up, higher than anyone before him. During freefall, he spun for a few harrowing moments, but stabilized quickly.
It started spinning so violent, it spun me around in all different axes, and I was always trying to find out how to stop this, I was putting one arm out and it didn't work, then putting another arm out, but you're always late because at that speed, when you travel at that speed, with that suit, when it's pressurized, you don't feel the air at all.
In those first seconds, he broke another record. No one had ever gone through the sound barrier outside a vehicle. Baumgartner reached a top speed of more than 700 miles an hour, well past the speed of sound. Freefall lasted 4 minutes, 19 seconds before his parachute opened. That's short of the record for the longest freefall in history. But after he safely touched down, the man known as Fearless Felix was hailed as an aerospace pioneer.
It's hard to realize what happened right now because there's still so many emotions, I had tears in my eyes when I was coming back a couple times because you're sitting there and you thought about that moment so many times, how it would feel and how it would look like. And this is way bigger than I anticipated.
This mission had been 5 years in the planning. In Baumgartner's ear during the ascent, Colonel Joe Kittinger, the man whose record Baumgartner broke. Kittinger had jumped from 102,000 feet in 1960. I interviewed Baumgartner and Kittinger together earlier this year. Are you jealous of Felix that he's going to break your record?
I'm delighted. I'm delighted he's going to do it. He's advancing science, and he'll do a great job.
Mission leaders and space officials hope this jump will show them if astronauts, space tourists, or high-altitude pilots can survive for any extended period outside a vehicle if there's a malfunction. If it held up as expected, Baumgartner's high-pressure suit could be the next generation suit for future missions. What will Felix Baumgartner do next? He told me that after this jump, he wants to pursue an occupation as a helicopter rescue pilot. Might be a bit of a letdown. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
Baumgartner broke a 50-year record in his space jump. The last record was from 102,800 feet high. Well, we did have some rain this weekend. Weather forecaster Sam Abbott will tell us if more rain is ahead this week.
Also in NewsLink Sports, we'll have a recap of Ball State's homecoming win. Stay tuned.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Well, Cameron, it seems like Mother Nature just can't make up her mind. What does she want to do out there?
I don't know. Rainy and cold the next day, warm and sunny the next. Let's kick it over to Sam Abbott in the Weather Center to see what is going on tomorrow. Hey, Sam.
Well, thanks, Cameron. I'm just glad today ended up on a positive note. After this wet weather this morning, I am weather forecaster Sam Abbott, and I'm going to talk to you about the weather tonight. Current conditions in Indiana, we got 48 in Muncie, 50 in Bloomington, 53 in Terre Haute. Nice temperature spread across the area. Currently in Muncie right now, it's 48, and it feels like 46 with winds coming out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. Pressure is increasing as we take a look at our radar. Clouds are moving out to the east through Ohio and should be clear throughout the night tonight. Temperatures should dip down. According to Almanac, 56 degrees today was the high with a low of 46, but was a little bit lower than our average temperature of 65 and 43, but far different than our record of 85 set in 1963 and 30 set in 1997. Later tonight, temperatures should drop to a low of 38 and should remain clear and cool. So if you're heading out, make sure to wear a jacket and keep warm. In the morning hours, temperatures will remain around 42, but should go up throughout the day as the sun comes out and should end up being a very beautiful day. 12 o'clock, temperatures should be around 56, and 5 o'clock, temperatures should be around 63. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the weather on TrueCast. We got a high pressure center in Illinois that should push through Indiana through the evening hours of Monday and on into Tuesday. And temperatures should increase as we are on the western side of this high pressure system, which is going to allow warmer air to be brought up from the south. And as that high pressure moves through, we will see a cold front push through from the west that could bring us our first round of precipitation either late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. Going into our 7-day forecast, we'll see a roller coaster ride of temperatures with our first chance of rain on Thursday and continuing on in through Friday. Cooler temperatures should remain throughout the weekend, over the weekend, and should be sunny. And on your workday on Monday should be warm and sunny.
Ups and downs all over that 7-day forecast. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
A former Indiana basketball coach is selling some of his memorabilia. Rob Conant will tell you who next.
And also, we'll have a recap of women's volleyball. Stay tuned.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to NewsLink Indiana Sports. I'm Robert Conant. It was a thriller out at Schumann Stadium Saturday afternoon as the Ball State Cardinals took on the Western Michigan Broncos in a wet homecoming game. Ball State struggled in the first half as the defense allowed big runs and big passes, drive after drive. The Broncos were up 21-10 at halftime. Now, the rain seemed to be the wild card as it started to fall hard in the third quarter. Both teams seemed to struggle with the slippery conditions, making crucial mistakes on special teams. In the fourth quarter, Keith Winning threw a pass to Jamil Smith with 50 seconds remaining to take a 3-point lead. The Broncos answered right back in the final seconds with a 52-yard field goal to send it to overtime. In overtime, the Ball State defense stepped up big, forcing the Broncos to go 3 and out. And when the Cards got the ball, Juwan Edwards scored the game-winning touchdown from 15 yards out. Cards get the victory on homecoming in overtime, 30-24. They are now 4-3 on the season. The women's volleyball team played twice at Worthen Arena this past weekend. On Friday night, the Lady Cards looked to stop a 4-game losing streak as they hosted the Kent State Golden Flashes. Freshman Jenna Spatafora started at setter for the first time in her career as Jackie Seidel was sidelined with an injury. Spatafora ended the night with 42 assists. Lisa Scott led the way once again for Ball State with 13 kills on the night. Kara Bates had 11 kills and 12 digs. Ball State swept Kent State in 3 straight sets. Then they went to Saturday night. Ball State struggled against one of the top teams in the MAC as the Ohio Bobcats swept the Cards in 3 sets. After the weekend, the Lady Cards are now 10-11 on the season and 3-5 in the MAC Conference. The Indiana Fever took Game 1 of the WNBA Finals last night as they upset the defending champion Minnesota Lynx 76-70 in the Target Center in Minneapolis. Orlana Larkins led the Fever with 16 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. Tamika Catchings added 20 points for Indiana, and Aaron Phillips had another 13. Star guard Katie Douglas did not play for the Fever due to a sprained ankle, and the defense held the Lynx to just 39% shooting from the floor. The Fever will take on the Lynx for Game 2 of the Best-of-5 Championship Series in Minnesota on Wednesday night. Last night in the Major League Baseball, St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants started the National League Championship at AT&T Park. David Freese and Carlos Beltran each had 2-run homers to help St. Louis win 6-4. Now they're actually underway in Game 2 right now of the NLCS in the Bay, and in the top of the 4th inning, it is tied at 1. Angel Pagan of the Giants has a home run for San Francisco, again tied at 1 in the top of the 4th inning. Now, the American League Championship already played their second game of the series last night in the Bronx. Anibal Sanchez pitched 7 innings for the Tigers, allowing no runs on just 3 hits and striking out 7 Yankee batters. Detroit held a 1-0 lead in the 8th inning, and it was the pinch hitter Garcia getting an RBI single, allowing Omar Infante to score, as you see right there. And then later on, Miguel Cabrera hit an RBI single allowing Austin Jackson to score, making it 3-0 in the 8th inning. And the Tigers go on to win it 3-0 as the final score. They take a 2-0 series lead against the Yankees. The series shifts back to Comerica Park in Detroit for Game 3 tomorrow night. And guys, just in case you're wondering, Bob Knight is selling his championship basketball rings and Olympic gold medals. A collection of the former coach's memorabilia will be auctioned by Steiner Sports Memorabilia. It's part of a sale that will also feature the jersey that Yankees pitcher Don Larson wore while pitching a perfect game in the World Series. The auction runs through December 5th, and it will feature Knight's rings from his 3 NCAA championship teams at IU, the undefeated 1976 season, along with the ones from '81 and 1987.
All right, Bob Knight, you know he's a character. He probably needs to be in a movie. And these next guys in our next segment have produced a documentary segment that has been selected for a local film festival.
Dea Hernandez will have more in NewsLink Entertainment up next.
Welcome to NewsLink Entertainment. I'm Dea Hernandez. Stories and Legends Historic Preservation in Muncie, Indiana was selected for the Heartland Film Festival in late October. Ball State student-produced documentary will screen 4 times in Indianapolis during the 10-day celebration of independent films. The documentary explores historic preservations while tracing the efforts to restore structures in several Muncie's nationally recognized historic districts. This was created as a part of Ball State's Historic Muncie Project, an immersive learning program, and won an Aurora Award for the Platinum Best Show in May. To learn more about the Historic Muncie Project or watch the documentary, visit historicmuncie.org, and to find screening dates, visit trulymovingpictures.org. Live at Birdland will be coming to Emmons Auditorium this Thursday. The event features jazz orchestra, the Birdland Big Band. This musical event recreates the experience from the night at Birdland. The name came from the famous alto saxophone player Charlie Parker, whose nickname was Bird. His compositions, along with others, are featured in the show. Will never feature the New York's best musicians and is directed by one of the world's greatest drummers. The Birdland's Big Band has become a very popular musical attraction. For ticket information, visit the Emmons Auditorium website or call the box office. And don't forget to pick up your tickets for the hilarious musical Menopause. This parody is set to classical tunes from the 60s, 70s, and 80s and will have you cheering and dancing. Don't miss out on what millions of women worldwide will be laughing about for over 10 years. For ticket information, visit the Emmons Auditorium website or call the box office. That's it for NewsLink Entertainment. Back to you guys.
And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight.
Thank you for tuning in, Delaware County.